in this problem, we're looking at different threatened species, and we're looking at the threatened species in the U.S. alone and beyond the borders. So we know for mammals, birds, and reptiles how many different different species of mammals, birds, and reptiles are threatened in the United States, and how many are threatened outside the United States. So we're told to represent this data by using a matrix where rows represent the region, columns represent the species. Okay, so species, we have mammal, bird, and reptile, and we have this for U.S., and I'll just call this N for non-U.S. Okay, so for mammals in the U.S., we know that that number is 35. For birds, that number is 23, and for reptiles, that number is 40. For non-U.S., those numbers are 27 and 16, respectively. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just enter this into my matrix real quick. I'm going to edit the first matrix. This is a 2 by 3, so I'll make it a 2 by 3. And the numbers are going to be 35, 23, 40, 27, and 16. As appropriate, multiply this matrix by a column matrix of 1s, then explain the real-world meaning of the product. Well, what we know already is that the column matrix of 1s, this is, by the way, has to be a 3 by 1, 1, 1, 1. We already know that that will just sum up the rows. So I am going to just create a 3 by 1 matrix of 1s. 1, 2, 3. Try that one more time. And now I'll just multiply A by B. And I get 98 and 43. Well, if I add up these guys here, that's the total number of species that are threatened in the U.S., and then 43 is the sum of these, which is the total number of species threatened outside the U.S. In part B, we want to know we want to multiply this matrix by a row matrix of 1s. So to multiply a 2 by 3 by a row, we have to multiply it by a 1 by 2 in this case, so that our inner dimensions match. So this is going to be a 1 by 2 containing 1s. And so I'll edit matrix 3. I'll make this a 1 by 2, 1, 1. And now I'm going to do, in this case, C times A, because that's my 1 by 2. There's my 2 by 3. And I get 55, 30, 56. Well, what have I done? Well, I basically just dropped this on top of the 1 matrix. 35 plus 20 is 55, 23 plus 7 is 30, 40 plus 16 is 56. Well, what did I just do? This is the total number of endangered mammals, this is the total number of endangered birds, and this is the total number of endangered reptiles in the U.S. and beyond. As appropriate, multiply this matrix by a row matrix of 1s and a column matrix of 1s. So basically, let's do this times this times this. And if you notice, we have a 1 by 2 by a 2 by 3 by a 3 by 1. So all of our inner dimensions match, and we end up with a 1 by 1. Well, what could that possibly represent? So I'm going to do my C times A again, but I'm going to multiply that whole product by B, and I get a 1 by 1, which contains the number 141. Which you'll notice that if you add up all 6 of these numbers, you get 141. Well, this is, we summed across all endangered species, we summed across all nations. This has got to be the total number of endangered species in the United States and beyond. Next, suppose we create a new matrix, 1, negative 1, so row matrix. Pre-multiply the threatened species matrix by this new matrix and explain the real-world meaning of your result. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just manipulate matrix C to be 1, negative 1. So it'll be 1, negative 1. And, well, what could that possibly do? Well, that's going to take the first number here, drop it on top of 1, negative 1 matrix, so really what it'll do is 35 minus 20. So this actually tells us that there are 15 more endangered species, endangered mammals in the United States than there are in outside the borders. There are 16 more endangered species of bird than in the U.S. than there are outside, and again, same thing for reptiles, except that number is 24.